Now back to Marquee Media Studio and the HaneyBiz Project with your host, Mark Haney.
All right. Welcome back to the HaneyBiz Project, brought to you courtesy of Comstock Magazine and California Backyard. I'm Mark Haney. And today, I have the privilege of being joined by the father of the years, who I call him, Kwame Anku, the founder of Black Angel Tech Fund. How you doing, Kwame?
I'm amazing. Good morning. Good to see you.
It's good to see you, too. And I call you Father of the Year because every time I see you, you seem to be with this young man who is jumping in, and it's like you're always taking your son to work.
Absolutely. Well, I found that most of the principles about success in business, I didn't learn until I was like in my 30s. So I made a decision before I was a father to be able to teach basically everything that I knew that was important into my child before he or she was 10. Mm-hmm. And then lo and behold, I had a beautiful young boy. Yeah. And I've really committed myself to teaching him the basic principles of success, of business, of life at an early age. So that's where you see that energy and that enthusiasm.
Well, it's hard to believe you're that much over 30. However, your resume and your success is that of somebody who is an older man. But so thinking about Black Angel Tech Fund, if you don't mind, give us an overview of your business and what you've done, and take us through the journey.
Sure. In terms of my entrepreneurial journey, or specifically the Black Angel Tech Fund?
Let's go both.
Yeah. Well, we'll start present. We'll jump back. So Black Angel Tech Fund is basically an early stage investment fund. We're looking for exciting, planet-changing African American technology entrepreneurs. There's really been a disparity in terms of them being able to get funding and financing in the tech industry. Okay. Less than 1% of all the VC money typically goes to African Americans. So a group of us that went to Stanford, I graduated in '94. We said, hey, we went to the school that gave the world Google and LinkedIn and PayPal and Palantir and all these amazing planet-changing companies. Why don't we just leverage our networks, our access to capital, our wisdom, our success to be able to create a fund and then leverage our networks from Stanford to do the same thing.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what we do in terms of the fund. And then, my entrepreneurial journey really started. I always like to start with my father. When you hear my name, Kwame Anku, it sounds like an African name, but of course I don't have the African accent. But that's because my father's from Ghana, and my father was born in a village with no running water, no electricity. At the time he was born, the country was still colonized. And that young man walking to school with no shoes for miles at a time somehow was able to get a scholarship to the United States for undergrad. Went to Cornell Medical School and became a world-renowned oncologist and hematologist, put a kid through Cal, Stanford, and Columbia. So that was the model that I had as a child, that one, anything is possible in this country. Two, if you just focus particularly and you have a business and you're an owner, you can transform generations and you can transform lives. And today, my father's almost 80 and is one of the largest landholders in the country of Ghana today. And so we've got incredible businesses that we do as a family in Ghana, in real estate and in ag tech and in other businesses. So that was really the model that I had. And so ever since I was a young person, I never saw my dad working for somebody else.
Wow.
So when as soon as I graduated, I started a business, started a production company. I've been a public speaker and been invited to speak all over the country. I've been a consultant. I've done all kinds of different things. And I think I've literally had a job before working with the Black Angel Tech Fund for like 6 months. Where I was literally on salary. Everything else was 1099.
It's amazing how our philosophies are developed at such a young age, and how our parents or our role models at those early ages, they shape us. And you're doing that now with your son, too, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't actually make the connection until you just said that, right? So like when I was a kid, I would go visit my dad at work, and on the door it said, Vincent Anku, MD, Inc. So he owned the business. So I was 5 when my dad first started. He didn't have enough money to hire a secretary. So my mom was his part-time secretary. And I remember being a kid doing the files and sharpening the pencils at the office. But the reality is, as a young child, I'm looking at my dad. He owned the business. And that's all I ever saw. So he never talked about his boss because he was the boss, right? And when I was 10, I started doing the check registers for him. And I was like his little assistant accountant. So at 10 years old, I was literally on the equivalent of QuickBooks back in the 80s, right? And I was learning about, keeping track of the money and working with my mom to do all the balancing and all that good stuff.
Amazing.
So I didn't make the connection.
That led you to this incredible career that is now you're doing the Black Angel Tech Fund. And obviously there's a need, but how did you decide to start the fund?
Yeah, so, So this is crazy. At the time, I was actually working with the legendary rock star Prince. And Prince, as you know, was an iconic musician and an artist, groundbreaking in so many levels. But he was always emphatic, again, about the power of ownership. You know, most of the early artists back in the day, they were signing record contracts. They were making a lot of money, but they didn't own the products and the masters, if you will, of recordings. So that was something that was really important to him. So having a chance to work closely with him was a life-changing experience.
I can only imagine.
As a mentor, as a friend, he was just really generous, an amazing business person. And so at the time, we were really looking for solutions, again, with this disparity, that less than 2% in this incredible technology industry, but less than 2% of the employees at the Googles and the Facebooks are African American.
Okay.
And so basically we're saying, one, how can we help solve that problem?
You bet.
And two, how can we, and I love your whole idea of igniting the entrepreneurial revolution, right? When I think of Google, they employ over 100,000 people, but that whole company was started by 2 people.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just the power of 2. Hewlett-Packard started by 2 people. Apple, 2 people, right?
And look what they become.
That's exactly. And so in all of those companies, right, they had people, just like yourself as an investor, who saw their vision, believed in them, invested capital, and then leveraged their networks to help to grow and cultivate those companies. So we basically were inspired by that. And then the other thing, too, is like when you're young, you're excited, you got a bunch of ideas, you got stuff to prove. You know, I'm almost 46. And I have over 20 years of life experience, of networks, of access points. I've learned a lot. And so now I'm more excited not about just having my own business, which I have, but I'm really excited about investing into these young entrepreneurs and being able to share the wisdom that I have, the lessons that I've learned, and get them connected to the people that I've got relationships with to help them to
Igniting
grow.
the entrepreneurial revolution for the African American here. And it's amazing that that there's still such this, I guess, disparity in opportunity. You're helping, I guess, elevate that opportunity.
Absolutely, and I love the word opportunity, right? So I learned from a mentor of mine. He said a small mind focuses on a problem, right? People commiserating about the problems. He said a big mind focuses on a solution, and that's good because we're not just commiserating and complaining. But he said a genius mind sees the opportunity that lies in the problem. Right? And so Silicon Valley and technology is an industry that's built on genius. It doesn't mean high IQ. Yeah. It means people who see problems, but see there's an opportunity there, right? And so that's really what we're committed to, and that's what then levels the playing field. Yes. And what I love to say, it balances the equation.
Without a doubt. Talk to us about some of the opportunities that you've helped create.
Sure.
It's a success story.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, and I love the fact that we focus on our hometown of Sacramento, right? The capital city of the 7th largest economy in the world,
baby.
Right?
Sacktown.
So I'll tell you a great story. There's a young woman who's the founder and CEO of a virtual reality company called Seek VR. Okay. Now, this is an African woman born in New York, raised in Ghana, incredible background, U.S. Air Force veteran, double E and a master's degree from Georgia Tech in computer science, electrical engineering. And she's literally one of the global pioneers of virtual reality. Not only virtual reality headsets, we're talking about creating a portal, Netflix for VR, if you will, and she has a full production studio, and it's a global company. So she had a really tough time raising capital. When we met her, she'd raised about $800,000. That sounds like a lot of money, but in this space, the average amount is about $300 million.
Okay.
So what she didn't have was the access point. So we came in, not only did we make the investment, but much more importantly, we got her connected to other investors.
Yes.
Right?
Sometimes if one person begins to believe in you or one group believes in you, it can be like almost the turning point, the breakthrough moment.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was doing a fireside chat with her, much like this, a few weeks ago at Stanford, and we were really honored and humbled. She literally said what you said. She said, that was the breaking point for me as a businesswoman, and we helped to get her over the gap. And then it was bringing her to Sacramento to meet the investor community out here and the entrepreneur community out here. 2 incredible things happened. Number 1, she decided to relocate the company from Miami to Sacramento.
Wow.
And number 2, she was connected to an investor community here, which ultimately led to $1 million additional investment in her company. Nice. And she's actually in Europe as we speak, working with that team, building out the European side of the business.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
I love how you brought her to our hometown,
Absolutely.
right? So that is so cool to hear. So thinking about choosing someone like her to invest in, I always say I like to invest in rock star entrepreneurs, people who can make the molecules move. What did you see in her, or what do you look for in investment when you look at the team and the entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, to make it simple, I would say really 2 things is passion Well, I would say three things: vision, passion, and track record.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, vision, it's something big, that we're going to change the world. I've got an idea that can literally transform the planet. That's the vision.
Okay.
The passion is, it's 20 hours a day. Every time you talk to them, they're moving. I got ideas. Okay, we're going to do it this way. They're always driven. They're making it happen, right? But also track record. Because what does that mean? One, they've created businesses before.
Yes.
Two, they've made mistakes and failed. They've overcome. They know what the entrepreneurial slog is, and they're still here, and they're still energized with their new vision. So this woman in particular, she had worked for Boeing, and she literally developed the digital cinema system. That's the system that bounces movies off of satellites into movie theaters around the country.
Okay.
She's one of 4 people on that patent. Now, Boeing took that whole division and sold it off for $3.2 billion. So she knows how to run a team of over 200 people. She knows how to build a global enterprise. She understands technology. She's an engineer as well as a business person. So what did we see? We saw vision. I'm going to create a next level virtual reality, metaverses that'll do education, that'll do entertainment, that'll bring people all over the world, and I'm going to build that, right? She's passion. She's driven and excited and always on the go. And then the track record. Those were the elements that we saw that got us excited about her.
Love it. As we before we go to break, we don't have a minute left. But any advice to entrepreneurs who are thinking they've got that passion, they don't quite have the experience yet, but they've got the passion. How do you jump in the game in some form?
Well, two really quick and simple things. Number one, the fact that they're listening to shows like this is really the breakthrough. There's so much amazing stuff out there to listen to learn. But the second thing is to surround yourself with your own personal board of directors, your own advisory board. These are folks that have experienced their season. They've done what you want to do. They've gone where you want to go. They believe in you. And those people will help you to navigate and make important critical decisions correctly at the early onset of your journey and of your business.
Create your own advisory board. Kwame, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you for what you do for our hometown of Sacramento and the African American community specifically. I'm going to ask you to stick around if you want to hear our next guest, because you and I were there when he pitched last time at the Kings Capitalize, and he actually came away with the W. Coming up after the break, we will meet the guy who is saving our full contact sport of football, in my mind. Mr. John Ralston of Protex is in the house. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Audi Rockland and the DCA Capital men and women of DCA. This is the HaneyBiz Project.